Now, with the design tab, we don't go into a ton of detail about it. I give you sort of an overview of what it's capable of targeting, but it really comes down to you sort of working with it and tweaking it to sort of work and display the way you want. So, as we mentioned when working with the piece here, that when we work with global, that overlaying mask, that under the settings, the default design style is the City of Vermilion Recreation. Now that was created through the design tab, and there it is sitting there. Now we can create our own by clicking on create a design. But what I'm simply going to do is using as a reference point what we already have for the City of Aurelia, so you can see where those things kind of translate to. So if I go into City of Aurelia Recreation, it's broken down what we can govern within the design tab into a number of different subcategories. Now, the very first one is the layout. And so when we take a look at the site header, it's saying that it's using this style of header across the top. Okay, so what we have in that style being displayed there is what we see, and I'll just call up the view of it here. That's why it's displayed that way. Okay, logo to the left and the notes to the right. And that's what it's set up to look like. There are tons of different options you could pick from as to how you want your header to be displayed. So if I click on 8, okay, it would say, okay, we're going to put the nodes over here, and we're going to put some other things over here, and the piece in the middle, all these different things. Now, we've decided to use the 002 or the 02. So if you wanted to maintain that continuity of how it's displayed, even though we're going to a different segment with different colors, you would use a site or the number 2 here. Okay, so we can work with that. We could take a look. The initial one is like this, and it says if the drop downs were open, what would it look like? Well, it would look like that. So that's just showing you how they would display. Do you want to show the header on the scroll? What that means is that when I scroll, the header sticks at the top, so it's always there. Okay, that's an option to turn on or off. Is it transparent header, meaning that when I do that, you can watch the words go behind it? Well, probably not. It becomes a little confusing there. Okay, what about the header on a small screen? All right, so we can govern the type of header that we have for that. Well, we have navigation, and it says that the number of lines should appear in your burger navigation icon. So anytime we use the burger or find the piece, we've got it set to be the 3 even bars. Now, where that will be displayed on any given page would be something like over here, the full menu, 3 burger bars. Okay, that kind of thing. It's up to you how you want it displayed. Icons. Okay, we're using the chevron, the arrow, the triangle for those kind of things. Wherever it would use a directional icon, it's going to use the chevron because that's what it's been set up. For anything you design, you can pick your own. Headings, okay? Secondary heading first. Heading, so when we look at any of the pages that we were using in here, let's see, actually, let's go into products. And then from here, I go to text mark. There we go. Now, if we go to the text mark page and we talk about the headings, when I have these pieces, I have so that the secondary heading comes first. That's because it's been set to do that. What if you want it underneath? You could do the heading first. It's up to you. The heading separators. Okay, so choose the global options for your heading and secondary heading separators, right? So what it's doing is just where would these display? It's all customizable. Links. Okay, with your logo link, underline on the initial, underline on the hover. Well, no. So when you hover over these, there's no underlining of it. It just becomes a toggle. Okay, underline or for main navigational links and secondary navigational links and all these things about how we want to highlight our links. Okay, some of them will underline and hover, some of them won't. It's up to you. So that's what layout governs. Well, miscellaneous is like the back to top, choose to display and set the horizontal position when you go back to the top, or the notifications and so on. All this is customizable. What it is that you can create a duplicate of this, okay? So when we work with that, we can create in here with design. Well, discard any changes. Okay, I can create new ones here, but I can actually copy these kinds of things, right? So if I click on City of Aurelia, I can't really copy from there other than I could create a content template in here, but that's a page by page. I don't think I can actually copy the City of Aurelia. Try. Oh, yeah, I can make a copy of it and then I can just tweak it. Okay, so if you wanted to use the same font but different color schemes, you could do it. And what it's just saying is, where do you want to attach it or what do you want to call it when you go in here? So that's what you can do so you can hold on to certain things. Well, that's what we can cover as far as how the pages are laid out. Well, then there's a logo. All it's saying is, okay, your website logo. What do you want as the default website logo, which will show up here when on your new piece? So if you're doing it for the libraries, you're doing it for the pools, if they have their own logos, you can insert it here. And when you assign this design tab to its own global piece, and you go out there and add it into a certain area, it will use this as the website logo instead of the normal one. Favcon is what's up here on the little tab. Okay, so you can change which one's up there, and that's what that governs. Colors. All the colors are customizable. What color is the body? That's just the color that sits behind here, right? It's just white. Okay, but you can pick different colors for the back, behind the header, the behind the logos and the main navigation. So all these things, you can create your own customized button colors. Okay, and so it says there's your additional button colors. You can go in and create your own for whatever it is that you need to work with. So you can do that, work with your colors. Now, when with the colors, when you go in here, it's like if I go into the body here, out here, the background, if I click on here, lets me pick any color. Be aware that when you are working with the colors, that there are certain rules and regulations that have to be applied to maintain accessibility for people that have a color vision challenge, okay? So there are certain colors you do not put together. So you need to review those rules and regulations from the AODA and the WCAG requirements for accessibility, okay? So just be aware of that when you're working with the colors. Now with the spacing, okay, so you can go in here and look at how granular this is, okay? On small screens, the padding applied from the viewport edge. So how many pixels do you want from the edge of the screen? On the sight box shadows. Remember I told you about shadows. You can put these pieces in, and like I said, you can play with all the increments that go with these things for everything. The entirety of the site, around the header, right? So main navigation, single column with how many pixels. All of this can be broken down granularly. You could spend literally weeks in here going through and adjusting all these little things piece by piece, increment by increment, to see how they impact everything you do. Components, okay, the padding around components and forms you won't have to worry about, but building your buttons, right? Okay, what is the padding around buttons and things like that. Modal windows, and we saw that you could have that kick in after a certain period of time, or if you scroll, how big do you want that pop-up to show up with? So all of these things are editable on your design tab. Now for the City of Aurelia Recreation, we customized and built the whole thing and said, here you go. And like I said, you can copy it. So if you want to keep all the spacing and stuff, you just want to play with the colors, you could just copy the whole piece and then tweak the color schemes and things like that. Fonts, okay, you're using Roboto Sans Serif normal 400 for this, that, and the other thing. All these different pieces that we have here, stating what size you would like your H1s to be. Okay, your H2s and so on through here. All these different things can be adjusted. Okay, and once again, if you copy them over, that's fine. Now, rules and regulations with fonts. If you're unfamiliar with what sans serif or sans serif is, when we look at letters, sometimes in a more formal setting, your F will have little hooks on the ends of the arms that will drop down from the top, in the middle. What ends up happening was that's called those little hooks or those little feet that go on things. That's called serif. And what ends up happening is sometimes people with vision issues, they might not be using a screen reader, but they have vision issues. Sometimes those little feet and little barbs that end up in there, those little serif pieces can blend together. And so your F turns into a P the way that they see it, and it can break up how they work with it. So one of the accessibility rules is you're always using things that are sans serif or sans serif in here when you're building it. Now, of course, if you're outside of Ontario and not governed by those laws, you can pick and choose what you want. But there are rules that go to these different pieces and things here, but everything is customizable. Backgrounds, right? If you want a default body background image, so instead of it being white back here, you can put a picture of the gorilla, whatever you want. Once again, be aware that putting images and background images into there can impact the contrast of information, making it difficult to read. But all those things are customizable. The CSS, that's just scripts again, going into there, custom scripts. You can add those pieces in throughout here, or if you want to work in JavaScript. In advance, is the front end source. Just saying it's using Govstack, and we're disabling the delete. We don't want you to be able to delete the City of Aurelia Recreation. Otherwise, you have nothing governing how things are being displayed. So please don't delete your design tabs. Now, if you want that, I've shown you how you can build your own design tab. Well, how do you use that once you've got it? So once you've gone out and you've customized, you've built a new design here, and it's now sitting here. Well, now you can apply it to global. Now, of course, we don't want to override your global piece. So what you can do is you can right click on global and you can copy it. And you create a second global and change the name, because of course it'll have a 1 in parentheses, and maybe for libraries or aquatics or seniors or whatever. And this becomes a new global mode or node. So when I click on global from here and it takes me into the settings, what you would do is in your settings for your new global seniors is under settings, instead of picking the City of Aurelia Recreation, you'll click on you'll go in because it will be there automatically because you copied it, but you'll remove it, and when you go to add it in, you'll pick the City of Aurelia Recreation Seniors, and it will adopt that color strategy and the fonts and all the different things that you built to go with it. And what you would do then is, once you've got your new global pod saved and published and all that, you would go to your seniors area here. We'll just say it's it's under culture or something like that. You would go to the culture page, you would go to advanced, and you would override the global node, the global seniors one. Okay, and that would apply for everything that's attached to the seniors, and all the children and grandchildren that are associated with it will now adopt the new global node for that node and that node only. And the rest of it will still observe the regular global node that's been established at the top. Does editing and implementing a design and attaching it to global and being able to put it in there. I know it's kind of an abstract because I can't show you how to do it because I don't want to do anything to impact the way that your site's currently laid out. But does the potential of what the design tab, well, first of all, starting with, does what the design tab does, where I can build these schemes of working with all the different sizing and logos and everything else, each one I can create different designs to reflect different areas within recreation. Once I've established them under design, I can create my own global pieces by copying the global and simply changing the name to reflect whatever destination it's going to be, whether it's culture, recreation, the youth center, parks and facilities, whatever it is you want. And you implement them by going to the master page that governs those nodes, and on any one of those particular pieces going to advanced and overriding the global node, as long as your home page maintains under advanced the main global piece. Do all of those changes and the potential make sense to everyone? And like I said, we don't go into a ton of detail about these things because it's, for me to create all those things, I'm only showing you the things that I would discuss here. It's something you have to play with. Now, with that being said, if you go into your learning center, there's a whole segment here on the design tab. Yeah, right there. And it will say, what do you want to do? So we'll talk about background images and colors and the CSS and logos and fonts and things. So if you're worried, if you go in to work with the colors, what can you adjust in there and where do they apply, right? Updating the base colors of your website and so on through here. So all the things that you might want to learn how to be able to do are all listed within here. Are there any questions about what we can do and what we can impact with the design tab and how we can apply that to global settings? Now, it doesn't have to go to global. You can actually override things at a smaller level. If I could go to design and create my own piece, and I could just install that on any given page. So if I go to my recreation here, I could set it up to do a global piece. But if I just go to my text mark in here, one of the things that I can do in here, instead of overriding the whole global node, I can override a design style. And what that does is say, I designed it under the design tab, but I only really want it to apply to this page. I don't want it to be a global thing hitting anything beyond this. So if you override the design style, this is just for this page, so it will use for this and the child pages beneath. So it's not creating a global piece, it's just a design style. So different ways that you can attach these various pieces within here. Does this make sense to everyone? We're all good? All right, let me stop the recorder there. I know it's not a huge piece for design,